At my best friend's wedding, I watched his 43-year-old sister Amber charm every man in the room like she always did. She was successful, beautiful, impossible to pin down. The kind of woman who never stayed with anyone longer than a few months. Everyone knew her reputation. But during the last dance, when she pulled me close and whispered, "I'm so tired of belonging to no one. Just once, I want to completely belong to someone," I realized no one really knew her at all. What happened that night started something neither of us could walk away from. My name is Cole Barrett. I'm 26 years old and I work as a software developer in Seattle. Tyler Matthews has been my best friend since freshman year of college. 8 years of friendship, shared apartments, road trips, late night conversations about everything. He's not just my best friend. He's the brother I never had. When he told me he was marrying Rachel and asked me to be his best man, I was genuinely thrilled for him. The wedding was planned for early September at Cascade Ridge Resort, about 2 hours outside Seattle. One of those picture-perfect mountain venues with massive windows showcasing the Cascade Range, elegant lodge architecture, and enough hotel rooms for all the out-of-town guests to stay the weekend. Tyler and Rachel had rented out the entire resort for 3 days. Friday rehearsal dinner, Saturday wedding, Sunday farewell brunch. I'd known Tyler's family for years. His parents, warm and welcoming, had treated me like a second son. And then there was Amber, Tyler's older sister. 43 years old, stunningly beautiful, and perpetually single, despite what seemed like an endless rotation of boyfriends. Tyler had a complicated relationship with his sister's love life. He'd complain about it sometimes after a few beers, frustrated that she never seemed to take any relationship seriously. A few months with one guy, a few weeks with another, always moving on before things got too deep. Their parents had long since stopped asking when she'd settle down, but Tyler still held out hope she'd find someone. I'd met Amber maybe a dozen times over the years at family gatherings and holidays. She was always polite, always perfectly put together, always with a different guy. I remembered thinking she was attractive in that effortless way some women have, but she was Tyler's sister, 16 years older than me, so I'd never really let myself think about her as anything other than my friend's family. Everything changed that weekend at Cascade Ridge. I arrived Friday afternoon, checking into my room and immediately heading to the rehearsal dinner. The resort was absolutely stunning, all rustic elegance with timber beams and stone fireplaces. The rehearsal went smoothly, and afterward we gathered in the main dining room for dinner. That's when I really saw Amber for the first time that weekend. She walked in wearing a simple but elegant navy dress, her blonde hair falling in loose waves past her shoulders. But it wasn't her appearance that struck me, it was the way she carried herself. Confident on the surface, but there was something in her eyes, a weariness I'd never noticed before. She was alone. No boyfriend, no plus one. Just her. "Cole," she said, walking over with a genuine smile. "Best man duties treating you well?" "Can't complain," I said. "How are you holding up?" "Big weekend." "Holding up." She laughed, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "You know how it is. Weddings bring out all the feelings. Happiness for Tyler, obviously, but also." She trailed off, then shook her head. "Sorry, that's probably too heavy for rehearsal dinner small talk." "Not at all," I said. "What were you going to say?" She studied me for a moment, then said quietly, "Just that weddings make you think about your own life. Where you are versus where you thought you'd be." Before I could respond, Tyler appeared, pulling me away for best man photos. But Amber's words stayed with me. The next day was the wedding. I spent most of the morning with Tyler, keeping him calm, making sure everything was perfect. The ceremony was beautiful. Tyler and Rachel exchanged vows that made half the room cry, and when they kissed, the applause was thunderous. At the reception, I gave my best man speech, toasted their love, told embarrassing college stories about Tyler that made everyone laugh. Through it all, I kept catching glimpses of Amber at the family table, smiling and laughing, but always alone. And I noticed something else. Throughout the evening, person after person approached her. Aunts, uncles, family friends. And I watched the same conversation happen over and over. "Amber, you look beautiful." "Thank you." "So, are you seeing anyone special?" Her smile would tighten slightly. Not at the moment. Just focusing on work. Well, you're still young. Plenty of time. Except she wasn't young, not by wedding guest standards. She was 43, watching her younger brother get married, fielding the same questions she'd probably been answering for 20 years. By the time dinner ended and dancing began, I'd seen her smile fade a little more with each interaction. She was drinking more than usual, I noticed. Not drunk, just loosening up, letting the facade slip slightly. Around 10, during a slow song, Tyler pulled me aside. "Hey, can you do me a favor? Amber's been sitting alone most of the night. Would you ask her to dance?" I'd do it myself, but Rachel and I are about to do our rounds, thanking everyone. "Of course," I said. I found Amber standing near the windows, looking out at the mountains illuminated by moonlight, a glass of wine in her hand. "Your brother sent me to rescue you from sitting alone," I said, walking up beside her. She laughed. "Did he now? Always the protective little brother. Would you like to dance?" She turned to look at me, and for the first time that night, her smile seemed genuine. "I'd love to." We walked onto the dance floor as a slow song began. I put one hand on her waist and she rested her hand on my shoulder. We moved together easily, and up close I could smell her perfume, something elegant and intoxicating. "Thank you for this," she said softly. "I know Tyler asked you to, but still, thank you." He didn't have to ask. I wanted to. She looked up at me, and I saw vulnerability in her eyes I'd never seen before. "Can I tell you something, Cole?" "Anything. I'm so tired of being the broken one." The words hit me hard. "What do you mean?" "Everyone here thinks they know my story. The sister who can't commit. The one who's always with someone new but never anyone serious. The family disappointment who'll probably die alone surrounded by cats." She laughed, but there was pain in it. "Do you know how many times I've been asked tonight when I'm going to settle down? Like it's just a choice I'm not making, like I'm broken somehow." "You're not broken," I said firmly. "Aren't I?" She shook her head. 43 years old, watching my younger brother get married to someone he's completely in love with, and I can't remember the last time I felt anything close to that. Maybe everyone's right. Maybe there is something wrong with me. We'd stopped dancing, just standing there in the middle of the floor, and I realized other couples were moving around us. "Let's get some air," I said. We walked outside onto the terrace, the cool September night a relief after the warmth of the reception. Amber leaned against the railing, looking out at the mountains. "I'm sorry," she said. "This is your friend's wedding." "You should be celebrating, not listening to me have an existential crisis. Tyler's been my best friend for 8 years. That means you're family. And family listens when someone needs to talk." She smiled at that. "You're sweet, Cole. Tyler's lucky to have you." "Can I ask you something?" I said carefully. "Sure." "Why do you think you can't commit? Tyler's mentioned over the years that you're always dating but never seriously. What's holding you back?" She was quiet for a long moment, swirling the wine in her glass. "Honestly, I think I've been looking for perfection. Every relationship I've been in, I find myself waiting for that spark, that feeling that this person is the one. And when I don't feel it, I leave. I've broken up with really good men because something wasn't quite right. And now I'm 43, and I'm starting to wonder if I missed it. If the spark I've been waiting for doesn't exist, or if I let it pass by because I was too busy looking for something better." "Do you regret it?" "Some of them, yes. There was a man about 5 years ago, David. He was kind, successful, wanted to marry me, and I ended it because I didn't feel that overwhelming passion I thought I was supposed to feel. 3 months later, he was engaged to someone else. They're married now with 2 kids, and sometimes I wonder if I made the biggest mistake of my life. Or maybe he wasn't right for you," I said. "Maybe you're still waiting because the right person hasn't come along yet." She looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "That's what I used to think. But at a certain point, you have to wonder if the problem isn't them. If maybe the problem is you. Amber, you're not a problem. You're intelligent, successful, beautiful. Any man would be lucky to be with you. You don't know me well enough to say that. I know you well enough. I've watched you tonight. The way you light up when you talk about your work. The way you genuinely smile when Tyler's happy. The way you've been gracious to every person who's asked you intrusive questions about your love life. That's not someone who's broken. That's someone who's kind and patient and deserves to be with someone who sees how remarkable she is. She stared at me, and I saw her eyes start to glisten. Cole, how old are you? 26. God, you're practically a kid compared to me. Age is just a number. Is it though? She laughed softly. Because right now, standing here with you saying these things, I'm very aware of how much older I am. How inappropriate it would be to tell you that this is the most seen I've felt in years. My heart started racing. What are you saying? I'm saying that you're Tyler's best friend. You're 17 years younger than me, and despite all of that, I haven't been able to stop noticing you all night. The air between us changed. Electric. Dangerous. I've noticed you too, I admitted. We can't, she said, but she didn't move away. I know. Tyler would never forgive either of us. I know. But God, Cole, I don't want to be the responsible one right now. I don't want to be Tyler's older sister who always does the right thing. Just for tonight, I want to feel something real. The reception was still going strong inside. Music drifted out through the open doors. No one could see us out here in the shadows of the terrace. My room number is 312, she said quietly. I'm going to go back inside, thank Tyler and Rachel, and then I'm going upstairs. If you want to just forget this conversation happened, I completely understand. But if you want something different, you know where to find me. Then she walked past me, her hand brushing mine for just a second, and disappeared back into the reception. I stood there for 10 minutes, wrestling with myself. This was Tyler's sister, my best friend's sister. 17 years older than me. This was wrong on multiple levels, but I also couldn't stop thinking about the pain in her eyes when she said she was tired of being the broken one. Couldn't stop thinking about her saying I'd made her feel seen. I went back inside, stayed long enough to not look suspicious, then slipped away as the reception continued. Room 312 was on the 3rd floor. I stood outside her door for a full minute before finally knocking softly. She opened the door immediately like she'd been waiting. She'd taken down her hair and kicked off her heels. Still in her bridesmaid dress, but softer somehow, more vulnerable. You came, she said. I couldn't stop thinking about you. She pulled me inside and closed the door. We need to be clear about something. This can't be anything more than tonight. Tyler can never know. This has to be our secret. I understand. Do you? Because once we cross this line, we can't uncross it. I understand, I repeated, and I'm choosing to cross it anyway. She kissed me then. Soft at first, tentative, testing, then deeper, more urgent. Years of loneliness poured into that kiss. What happened next was intense, passionate, and completely different from anything I'd experienced before. Amber was confident, experienced, knew exactly what she wanted. But there was also vulnerability in the way she touched me, like she was afraid this might be the last time anyone would want her this way. Afterward, we lay together in the dark and she traced patterns on my chest with her finger. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For making me feel like I'm not broken. Even if just for a few hours. You're not broken, Amber. You're just waiting for the right person. She smiled sadly. Maybe. Or maybe I just found him at the worst possible time in the worst possible way. We both knew what she meant. Tyler, the age gap, the impossibility of this being anything real. What do we do now? I asked. Now we go back to our real lives. You're Tyler's best friend. I'm his sister. This never happened. Is that really what you want? What I want doesn't matter. What matters is Tyler. He can't ever know about this. I left her room around 3 in the morning, taking the stairs to avoid running into anyone. The next morning at the farewell brunch, Amber was back to being polite and distant. We barely spoke. Tyler was too caught up in post-wedding happiness to notice anything. That was 10 months ago. For the first 2 months, Amber and I pretended it never happened. We didn't text, didn't call. When I'd see Tyler, I'd ask about her in passing, keeping it casual. He'd mentioned she was dating someone new, and I'd feel jealous and guilty in equal measure. But then she texted me, late at night, just, "Can't stop thinking about you." We started talking, carefully at first, then more frequently. Phone calls that lasted hours, meeting for coffee when she came to Seattle. Each time telling ourselves it was just friendship, nothing more. Until it became more. Until we both admitted this wasn't going away. 3 months ago, we told Tyler. It was one of the hardest conversations of my life. He was furious, hurt, felt betrayed. Didn't speak to either of us for almost a month. But eventually he came around. He saw how happy Amber was, how serious we both were about making this work. Last week we had Sunday dinner at Tyler and Rachel's house. As we were cleaning up,